saved. This is the true body of Christ. Why should it be us? Sometimes words unspoken are a pretty loud sermon, Brother Vance. And to come to a place where you know there's love and not animosity. When somebody tells you something, you take it to the bank. I don't think we have one that would be deceptive to another for any measure of earthly intent, but insincerity. I have got an awful lot over here in the Old Testament. Now, I'm not going to take time to go through it. I'm going to give you the Reader's Digest. Israel was a sinful nation.
Yes.
You would have thought after the captivity that the children of Israel had been under, they would be grateful. What's the first thing they do?
Make an idol.
Yeah.
Give me your gold earrings. Good subject to dwell on when we start talking about jewelry. Why? Well, I've got some men over here at work. We're going to get us a figure of our God that brought us out of Egypt. Moses is on the mount getting the law, but this is what man thinks. You ever been in that situation? Hear of a doctrine and you start thinking about it, and it has not been brought to your heart yet. I'll be honest, I have. I remember the subject of religion came up to me. Well, from here to the stoplight where I was raised was Missionary Baptist Church, Locust Grove. Now listen. Reverend Wilson came over and informed Mother that don't get the children ready to come over to sing with the choir because they're not members. Not like that. And it didn't bother me too much, really. I kind of enjoyed trying to sing. Haven't made much improvement either. And I thought, how in the world can somebody be so narrow-minded? Till I got to the Sovereign Grace Baptist. They got a pretty strict rule of order too. And if your church has not descended to or recognized lineage wouldn't have nothing to do with you. I'm just one little old ratty kid. We're starting to talk about churches in a bodily form, trying to worship God. I'm not going to say they're right. They're certainly wrong in some things. But you know what? If it wasn't for being wrong, we wouldn't have this. Why do we have the scripture? So you don't have perfection in yourself. And go down through time, I decided, well, that ain't worked out. I kind of like getting me a church. But I can't swallow that Pope stuff. That's out the door. I just might go up here and join up the Episcopalian. Can't spell it, but you know. I can brag it, you know, a little bit about it. And who knows? Maybe later on I'll buddy up with Jim Poole. He graduated from the Episcopalian seminary. That didn't last too long, did it? I guess, you know, when I speak of the errors of the children of Israel, it's really a reflection of our lives. And I don't think throwing stones accomplishes too much. Neither does going and doing personal persuasion. That'll last about as long as frost on a puppet will. Until God does a work in here, it means nothing.
Absolutely.
It's where it gets down to stumbling bends. Either he has or we have not. Whereas the hope. This book was written because of sinners. And it identifies. And you don't know you're a real sinner until God quickens you. It is exceeding sinfulness then. Well, we know everybody's a sinner. But you start taking that book, and it's a mirror, James says.
Yeah.
Like looking in the mirror. I can just about reflect any page that speaks of depravity and say, I know that pretty good. There's a lot of other I wish I knew a whole lot more about. So they get together. Moses comes down off the mountain. You had 400 years of enslavement. You have now been delivered, but you say Egypt has delivered you. The message in Egypt was, if you don't have the blood of the lamb on the lintel of your doorpost, there's going to be a death in your house tonight. Judgment. This be thy gods. And in that 40 years, if they had made a 357 Magnum, Moses would have blown his brains out before he got to go up on Mount Pisgah. Down at Myra, the waters were bitter. But if you cut the tree down and cast in, they become sweet. Now, that don't make good rationale, but God works his own way. Gets them thirsty, gives them a portable rock, get good cool water from. Feeds them every day. I'm tired of this. I like to have some quail. Fine, I'll fix you up. Piles them up, and the stench was putrefying in the camp. We will go back and have some more of that manna if I could. It was sustaining you pretty good, but you wanted some, and God gave you plenty. I would say 99% of Christendom think God exists to give them what they want.
Yeah, that's right.
He's the sugar daddy.
That's true.
And do not know his providential hand in every step they take. I told you this before, but I'll say it again, and not in animosity or bitterness. When I crushed this right foot, Bob Littleson called me. Now Bob, he's seminary. He's a corporate preacher. He'll come by, but he's a little bit more on the corporate side than he is local. He said, Brother Napper, he said, do you believe that step was predestinated? I said, well, Bob, I said, the one before was, and if I ever take another one, it was too.
Good.
It's all according to God's will. Did I like it? No. Did I want it? No. But I laid there and I thought about it. I spent many a day and a night looking at that foot up on the back of the couch to see if it was healing and hoping that it was. I could get a good report from the doctor. We could try it again, which was an occasion. Went to the surgeon. He said, well, that foot turned out real good. I said, what can I do now? He said, anything you did before? Well, guess what the first thing I did was crutch and a bridle. Could I trade for a little past fatal mare that I just had not got to ride yet? So high old silver, here we go, and it was wonderful. I just let off on it. But the steps that we take are ordered of the Lord for a purpose and a cause. We have never slipped or made a mistake in our walk.
Yeah. Amen.
No such thing as an accident.
A foreign word when we look at God's vocabulary. There is no such thing. And if it was not for the providential hand of God, I would dare say that we could out-champion Israel going through the 40 years in the wilderness.
Amen.
And it was to bring to remembrance by their example what human nature is and God's decree is. God's decree was winning. But their fleshly will had not died at that point. In fact, it don't die till it goes back to the dust from which it came. That brings us to an area that we don't speak very often of. What's it going to be like? Used to sing an old hymn, what will it be when we get over yonder and crown him King of Kings. Boy, I just loved to sing that song. And I got blasted with a verse in, I believe it was Colossians. He hath crowned him and see that right hand Father. I said, you know, I hadn't thought that out yet very good. If I'm going to make a crown for the Creator of heaven and earth, what size is it going to be? Not only that, I wonder what kind of design would be pleasing. And then I got to thinking, who is going to pack that thing up there and sock it on his head? That's Wayne County for, coronation. Our minds can lead us into darkness if the Spirit does not bring light upon our subjects. And sometimes when we get the light, we realize we got a big mess to clean up behind us. That's what we've already walked through.
Boy, that's true.
But yet it was for a purpose of learning and realizing what a great God we got.
School lecture.
Forgiveness is plentiful. If it were by the obedience to the law at the resurrection, there'd never been anybody else go through the portals of glory. How would it have been on Mount Transfiguration when Peter appeared? How did they know? Or not Peter. Forget.
Peter, James, and
Yeah. That in spite of what they were in themselves, God had purpose with them and used them according to that will. For it is He that worketh in you both to will and to do. You don't stop there.
Yeah, try. Don't.
According to His good pleasure. And you tell me that He's going to get good pleasure out of what you want to do? Nah. It's teaching you separation. It is subduing the old man and bringing forth the fruit of the new man. The fruit of the Spirit. And Mike was dwelling on Ephesians, for by grace are you saved through faith, and that not of yourself. It is a gift of God. You realize that's about the fifth gift you get, and it's not the first. The seed has been planted, it has germinated, It's coming forth, it's healthy, and it makes it manifest when faith is brought forth to demonstrate.
That's good.
You have to look into that light, because I want to know now. I want it now. That's why we have to walk sometimes that dark, lonesome path until the sunshine of God's Son shines in our heart, and that eagle comes along and brings us the message of salvation by grace. I think children, he preaches to every one of his elect children. He didn't hire a bunch of missionaries. He doesn't have Wednesday night visitation. They're precious in his sight. It has been a good place to be. All I can say is I wish it didn't have to end. I look forward to the meetings. To my knowledge, we have not had a bad experience with their meeting at all so far. But the other thing of it is, I've got the same thing Sunday after Sunday. If the Lord opens my eyes and my heart to receive it. Like I said, where 2 or 3 are gathered, we had 6. We had a crowd. Come on.
What? I'm gonna bust. You could even wind me up. You wind me up. You wind me up. Look here. When it comes to those Jews, the first time I read the scriptures and I read about those Hebrews in the Old Testament, now I realize it's a reflection of us. I didn't know that at the time. Mm-hmm. Lo and behold, in my heart, and probably mumbling under my breath, out there in my truck, just kill them, God. Just kill them all. I'm tired of reading about this. Here we go this way, and then we go back that way, and they just won't behave, will they? Here I am out of my own mouth condemning who? Who? Read it, point at him. Who am I condemning? Oh, and then later on I find these things out amongst these people. Well, you're just like them Hebrews. Well, you know what? That's true, and that brings me some comfort. Think about that. The fact that their failures, and they're called the chosen people. Well, that makes an opening for somebody like me, doesn't it? A failure. Let's see. I'm aware of the fact that I'm a sinner. Probably don't realize how bad. But who was it that he came for? I got a hope, brother.
Yep.
I got a hope now. These are wonderful, wonderful things. Now, these brothers here Elder, you mentioned some good things. These 2 brothers mentioned several things. But Josh, when you mentioned about the widow, you got me thinking. Now, I'm not saying this, but I got to go home and look at this and think about it and pray about it. Someone asked Spurgeon, what was more important, praying or reading your scriptures? Spurgeon answered and said, I don't know which is more important, inhaling or exhaling. That's good, isn't it?
That's an awesome answer.
I like that guy. I like that guy. I like the way he answers. But this widow, Josh, you pointed out that she knew that of that God. She didn't claim to actually have him in anything, did she? But maybe. I'm thinking maybe. And brother, you mentioned about Lydia, and that was a very good point. If anyone missed that, I'm going to go over that right quick. There, when you're reading that, many people will read that where it says, and the Lord opened Lydia's heart. I would almost, I'd bet you some money, I'd bet you a cup of coffee that most people will tell you, well, that's probably when she was born from above. That's probably when she accepted Jesus Christ as her personal Savior, when he opened her heart. This brother here, I think, said, now I'm repeating back, correct me, Mike, if I'm wrong. I think you said, don't you see that she had to already possess this spiritual heart for it to be opened? The Lord couldn't have opened something that he didn't already give her.
Ring the bell.
That is wonderful, Michael. Now, when was she born from above? I don't know, and I don't think the scriptures testify this, do they? About when she actually was born. How does anyone know when they're born from above?
You don't know when you're born in this world.
You go back to that, Michael. You know, everyone's okay when I grilled our brother here about, you know, the same thing. Did you choose when to be born, where to be born? You want to be born in Kentucky, did you? Did you put your request in for all these things? This is how tall, color of eyes, on this date, Lord. Everyone's okay with that. Everyone. The whole world will accept the fact, you're kind of at the mercy of something. Well, that something's a sovereign God. That's the little secret there. It's not just a roll of the dice, because the scriptures tell me that he even controls that.
That's right.
When you throw them bones
Cast
out
the
there.
lots.
Ooh, really? Boy, this is some God you people talk about. I don't know if I can accept all this. But when I say to him, your new birth. Now you accept your first birth from your mother, didn't have a thing to do with it. But then when I try to move you over, and I had to get moved over too, brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
I wasn't born with these things. I had to get moved over there. That, can't you see, if you experience a new birth, it's the same thing. You had nothing at all. What'd you say? If I have to do this. Why, listen, I asked, I'm done. I asked a couple Mormon missionaries this week that come walking across the street when I go outside. Young guys, white shirts on, had their ties on and their books and so forth. And I'm not an absolute authority on Latter-day Saints, but I will tell you one thing I noticed. They had left a card hanging on my door because they had knocked on my door before, right? I don't answer my front door. If you don't call before you come, I'm not answering my front door. But get this, guys. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to go ahead and share this with you. This was the knock.
Oh,
Yeah. You get the marketing? Did you catch the sales? Did you catch the marketing, sister? Well, that's got to be that knucklehead next door, my friend Dick Wilson. That's got to be him. And they rung the doorbell. That's pretty good salesmanship. Richard McKinley, sounds to me like he's worked with them on sales. And they left a card hanging on my front door, and I didn't find this till after we had a discussion. Me and these two boys had a discussion. I couldn't shut my mouth. I got things I'm trying to get done. I'm in terrible pain. Nope. I'm up for the fight. I'm up for it, I guess. I don't know if I've done anything right. Oh, I pray that the Lord give me at least one thing that I could say to them two men. That card they hung on there was telling me to come to where they were going to be meeting over in Beaver Creek, over around Dayton, Ohio. But get this, down in the bottom right-hand corner, it said there, I think it said they were going to have the Tabernacle Choir.
Oh,
You older people, what did that used to be called?
The Mormon Tabernacle Choir.
Always the Mormon Tabernacle Choir. I'll tell you something else. I just heard this recently. I'm getting way off what I want to talk about. The Mormons, and I think this just happened with our new administration. The Mormons were not listed as Christians in the armed forces list of This you have to look it up, Tiff.
Yeah.
And they petitioned to make sure that this new Secretary of War would include them under Christian. But it wasn't that long ago that they insisted they weren't Christian. Sneaky. So these boys come across the street. I'd come around the house, and they'd come across. They saw me, and they'd come across the street. They'd been knocking doors, and I'll just tell you two or three things that was said. I hope I wasn't. I can be awful sarcastic. I know that, but I don't want to pull any punches either. They come across the street, and they got big smiles on their faces, smiles that I can't work up. I mean, I can smile, but I can't smile like that. Sir, we'd like to know, would you like to come and go with us to church on Sunday? And I said, no, would you guys like to come with me and go to church on Sunday? Well, they kind of look at me, and then one of them says, well, where do you go to church? And I see he's trying to open the door. It's all.
It's a script.
It's a script, and I'm going to call it baloney because there's women here. It was baloney, and I knew it. I mean, I can see through you, brother.
Yeah.
He says, well, where do you go to church at? And I said, well, West Virginia usually. He said, oh no, in West Virginia. He said, oh no, we can't go there. We can't go that far. I said, I'll tell you what, I bet you if I had tickets to a football game in Cleveland, Ohio, I bet you'd be available. And they both kind of laughed. They kind of chuckled about it. This is the conversation back and forth, and round and round we went. I tried to leave it with this. I said, boys, let me finish this up. This went on for 15 or 20 minutes. I'm kind of thumping, but I think I'm going to stay here. I'm going to talk with you guys as long as you want to try to talk to me. And I finally told them, I said, you do realize you're not getting anywhere, right? And these guys, they almost laughed. They said, yeah. I said, you're not getting anywhere. And the one says this to me. They can't help themselves, fellas, ladies. They can't. He says, listen, he said, we got an appointment at 2:00. I laughed at him. And I said, you don't have no appointment at 2:00. I said, you're just trying to get away from here now, aren't you? He said, no, we got a 2:00 appointment. Didn't have one. I said, I watched you. He's down here knocking doors and all. You had all the time in the afternoon till you get over here to me, and now you got an appointment to go to. I don't believe you. Listen, guys, I said, listen, son, I'm going to leave you with something. I want you just to think about this, if you would. And perhaps the Lord will help you think about it. That's my hope. Because they'll tell you to read that pearl of faith and pray about it. This is what if they get you in it, and you pray that, and see if you don't feel a burning on your breast after what you've read. Let me jump on that a moment. You know what they've just done with you? They just made you responsible for the failure. Well, I read it and I didn't have that burning in my breast, so what am I going to do? Well, maybe you need to let us talk to you more and explain it to you. Boy, I'm telling you, it's devious.
You don't have enough faith.
There you go. That's it, Michael. They blame you for it. Yeah, I read it and I said, I didn't feel anything. Matter of fact, it looks like some silliness to me. It looks like someone's trying to be spiritual here. I told them boys, I said, listen, if Christ died for 99% of the payment you owe for your wages from the sin you've committed, but you have to accept him, or you have to whatever, you have to add that 1% to get it to 100% where you're saved. I said, and you don't or you can't contribute that 1%. I said, you're as much your Savior as he is. Because you can take the whole deal off the table by that 1%. It takes 100%. You're going to take the 1%. All right, that's enough of all that. I don't know if I made